Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's edition of M.E.R, Men's Equal Rights. We'd like to thank you for joining us today, and we're excited about our new guest today. Our topics is, how is child support calculated? How is child support calculated? And can putting someone on child support backfire? Can putting someone on child support backfire? Before we get started, we'd like to say that Men's Equal Rights is a forum for everyone. It is to bring families together, not to tear families apart. We do not bash anyone on this forum. We bring love and support to families, and our desire is 50-50 custody now, where children get to experience both of their parents equally so that they can be well-rounded. This show is in the best interest of our children. With that said, I'm excited to bring on our guest for today. He is a good friend and colleague. He's a man of many facets, comedian, producer, writer, also an entrepreneur, and I'll let him share those things with you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the forum the one and only Garrick Dixon. Garrick, please let them know who you are and what you do. We know you from a comedic standpoint. You tour with Tony Rock, who is Chris Rock's brother. But tell us more about what's going on in your world.
Well, Evan, if they don't know who I am, there's something wrong with them. But But we'll, yeah, I do comedy. As EL said, I'm a colleague of his. Evan and I have known each other for about 18 years now. He mentioned I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a barber. I'm in my barber studio right now. So this is the perfect environment for the men's equal rights because I'm in the man's country club right now. So that's why, that's why I came back here because I got to get all this testosterone in here. So,
men's country club. What's the name of the men's country club?
Well, it's called G's Barber Lounge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My name, like you said, is Garrick, but everybody calls me G. So I named it G's Barber Lounge, where I come in here and I service. You can see, I'll show you, but on my wall, your signature is on there, but I have tons of signatures on my wall of people that have graced this chair, and also I have my own men's hair grooming products. So that's where the entrepreneurial side, as Evan eloquently said, comes into place. So, I'm a father. I have two daughters, 13 and 11. I was married for 5.5 years, been divorced since 2012. And, I'm enjoying life right now. And I love this platform and I'm looking forward to having a good time. We always have a good time in the shop. So we just taking our shop conversations to your platform.
And before we get started, you've been doing something where you prank people
yeah.
in the barber shop. And what's funny is, this is what I've never understood about when people get pranked. What's funny is we'll have a show on air that's showing people get pranked and they still fall for it.
You know why? Because nobody thinks it's going to happen to them. It's like nobody, this is a little different. Nobody thinks they're going to caught in a fire. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with a prank. Nobody thinks they're going to get pranked. But when it happens, the reactions are the funniest thing. And even before the pranks I've done, I do funny barbershop videos that I have over 95 million views on my YouTube page. So I'm humbly bragging right now. So if you want to know what goes on in the barbershop in a comedic way, we tap into it all. So, and then recently, now that I have my own studio, I kind of changed a little bit and start doing barber pranks. And I wanted to prank, I wanted to prank Evan the other day, but I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you one of these days. I'm gonna let you know that.
Okay, we gonna see. We gonna see. I'm excited to have you on because a lot of people think family court is just a bad experience. They think
Yeah.
that when you go to family court, if they even know about family court, a lot of people don't know about family court. That is why you should get to know Men's Equal Rights. You should like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube page. And also, G, I'd like you to share with your followers and
Yes.
subscribers the Men's Equal
Okay.
Rights page and information, because what's happening is a lot of people don't get the proper information about family court and about your rights as a father or as a mother, because both parents equally go through things when they go through those family court doors. With that said, share with us what happened. You got a divorce. First, let's start from the divorce, because I remember when you got married.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I got married just before you got married.
Yeah. We talked about it. Yeah.
Right. So, and you were very happy and you were in love. I thought y'all made a beautiful couple. You feel me? And so I was like, okay, G, you getting married. You at the time, women have always loved you, and you chose to shut it down and get married. So y'all were happy. What happened?
Yeah. Well, like you said, we looked like we were happy, and that's the main thing. That's what most couples do. They look like they're happy, but people don't know what goes on behind closed doors. But the funny thing, Evan, about us, we weren't the argumentative type. We've known each other since we were 17 and 19 years old. So we knew each other for a long time. But for me, it was in our world, Evan, of being a comedian, we're on the road a lot. We're at the comedy club a lot. And some nights when we really on, Evan, we'll be at the comedy club 5 nights a week.
Yes.
And one of the things, look, 5 nights minimum when you're really out there. So it was one of those things, whereas I explained this lifestyle to her before we got married, and she was, said that she was with that lifestyle, but I think it's a little bit harder when you're actually in the situation, because I'm working at the barbershop. I'll come home, eat and chill for a minute. And then I'm at the comedy clubs, and Evan, you know how it is, comedy clubs. Sometimes you might wait to get on. So you're probably coming home at least, Evan, this is an early night, 11:30 p.m.
That is
11:30.
I normally
11:30.
get home at 2, 3 in the morning.
Right.
Sometimes 4 or 5, because we all entertainers be up, out, and
Right.
and talking and socializing, and that's how you build constituency. That's how you build, your business deals,
Right.
the whole nine. So after the show, as a matter of fact, we're meeting up with, like, I would meet up with Shaq.
Yeah.
We're meeting up with everybody. You'd be there, like it's an all night thing. So yeah.
And that's why I said, Evan, that's why I said 11:30 is an early night. Now, most times I didn't come home at 11:30. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
but I was like you. Most nights it's 1:32 a.m. And,
Right.
and you hit the nail on the head. It's not that we out there chasing other women. It's in order to grow in this game, people have to trust you. And sometimes, we'll go to Mel's Diner. We'll go eat, and that's networking. So I was out a lot, and one of the things that she didn't like the fact that I was out a lot. She was more in love because we dated in college, and she knew me when I was in corporate America. So she was more in love of the corporate Garrick, the guy that comes home from work and eats, and sits back. But the entertainer Garrick was a whole different person. And when she moved out here, she didn't like that. And then we had young kids. We had our first daughter. 2 years later, we had our second daughter. And I'm on the road a lot, probably 3 weeks out the month, or at least 2 weeks out the month. So it got to the point where, looking back at it now, I kind of understand, because Evan, we out there getting it. I'm like, I got to hustle, baby, because I want to give us a better lifestyle. And one of the things that women have to understand is that if you want a man who's making a high income, that's going to be a busy man. He can't do everything. And a lot of times a high income man won't be home a lot, because he's out there hustling like an NBA coach, a college coach, anybody that's making that money, you gotta kind of sacrifice some things. And your woman has to understand that. And a lot of women, and it's not their fault. They'll say they understand it at first, and then we got kids in the situation and little ones and feeling like they have to take care of raising the kids by themselves. Because I would hear that. And it was just like, babe, this is what I do. And so it was just one of those things that the lifestyle, I would say, became too much. And then she would compare our relationship to people at her job. They have houses, they have a house. I want a house.
Where the two people are working in corporate America or working in white collar jobs together, so their schedules are similar and they can understand. Okay, but they our schedules, you cannot understand them if you're not.
Right, and a lot of people, Evan, we know this. The divorce rate is high in entertainment, so we end up getting a divorce and everything. But after the divorce, it was a little rocky. I would see my girls I went from seeing my daughters every day, to just seeing them on Sundays.
Just Sundays. For how long on Sundays?
Just I would get them early in the morning, like I would get them early Sunday and take them back on Mondays. Because
who decided that?
Well, it was like that at first because when we got divorced, Evan, I left with nothing.
That's
I'm
normally what happens to men.
Right. Evan, I'm not gonna be. It's my couch or whatever. Like I'll rebuild myself. So in rebuilding myself, one of my homies, he was divorced too. His wife had left him, so he had a 4-bedroom house, and he was like, "Gee, you can come stay with me." So I was at the point, Evan, where I had to build myself back up, and I'm a barber too. Saturdays, Friday, and Saturdays are my busiest days. So I had to work on Saturdays to save my money, and I'm going on the road a little bit. So Sunday was the day that I had available.
Wow.
And it went from Sundays. And then after a while, I was like, you know what, Garrick, we have to adjust. We're going to continue to save money. And I finally saved up enough to get my own place. And then I went to the court system to demand more time.
Okay, so let me interject.
Go ahead.
First, you were just getting Sundays because you two agreed upon that on your own. The court wasn't involved.
Court was never involved. That's what we agreed.
You left your own house, everything that you built with her, and you said, I got to start all over. And now I go from seeing my babies from every day, all day, anytime I want, to only seeing them on Sundays. How did it affect the kids?
They were so young. They were at the time. They were 3 and 1 or 4 and 2. They were young, so it really didn't. They kind of got used to it, Evan. If anything, it affected me. Like as a man, you go through these situations. I remember one day, bro. I was in the kitchen, and I just looked around. I broke down crying, bro, because it was like. I was like, hey, man, I don't even have my daughters. And I'm in there, and I'm like, bro, I went from seeing them daily to just on Sunday. And women, sometimes they don't think that we hurt. We hurt.
Over our children especially.
Yeah, and it was one of those hard cries. It was one of those, like, you know what I'm saying? If my boy would have came home, I would have had to tough it up real quick. You know what I mean?
Down and slid down the wall.
Yeah, Evan, I was, why? I'm doing all that stuff. So it was one of those cries, bro. And so then and I ended up it affected me. With them, I think they got used to the schedule. They were so young that I don't okay, let me take that back, because some nights when I would call and we were on the phone, they would cry for me. We want to see daddy. We want to see daddy. Or they wanted to call me, and sometimes, Evan, she would be mad at me, and I called and she wouldn't answer, But then it got to the point where they would ask for me, and then she would call, so they can talk to me real quick.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
And so you decided I need to go to court. So you were the petitioner.
Yes, for more time. Yes, I finally
Okay.
go ahead.
So you
No,
got the ball rolling, and that's what I tell a lot of people that tune into the show when we're talking about 50-50 custody now. The best way to guarantee that is to make sure that you are the petitioner. So you became the petitioner. So tell us
absolutely,
what happened.
absolutely. Because okay, so like I said, it was just on Sundays, and then I said, okay, obviously, I finally got my own place. I saved up some money, and it was like I said, okay, let me do Saturdays with them. So we'll do every other Saturday where I'll come get them at like 2 p.m.
Okay.
So I'll come get them I'll leave the shop earlier. I'll leave the shop early and leave and come get them at 2 p.m. So I can have them Saturdays and Sundays, taking them back on Monday.
Okay.
And that's every other. So then it's every Saturday, Sunday, and then it's still the other week. The other weekend is just Sunday, taking them back on Monday. But Evan, then I also said on Wednesdays, I want to go up there on Wednesdays and get them from school and take them to dinner. So I also wanted to include Wednesday, so we put that in writing. And here's something that a lot of men don't understand. The women, the mediator at the courthouse, she loved the fact that I asked for more time. She said, this is a rare occasion. She said, okay, we got to work this out, because at first my ex was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to bring them to him. Like sometimes when you're going through situations, Evan, they want to make you the enemy, because it's easier in their minds to think that you won't do it, to justify how they feel about you. Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, I'm the one that's going to have to drop. And I said, oh. So what we can do is one Saturday, I'll come get them. And then the next Saturday, you drop them off. So let's just switch up. Let's just switch up, because she was thinking that, and this wasn't even my thinking, she was thinking that the burden was going to have to be on her for me to see them on Saturdays, when no, that wasn't the burden. That wasn't the situation at all. And the mediators say, let's work this. Okay, so Wednesdays. So how are we going to do Wednesdays? And she loved the fact, because she said it was rare of men asking for more time.
So usually mediator that loved
the mediator, yeah. So the mediator, for any man that's going through this, the mediator, especially if you get a Black woman, most likely is in your favor of spending more time with your children, because it doesn't happen a lot. Mm-hmm. And men need to know that,
Okay.
So like you said, I'm the one that got the ball rolling in that, and then we both agreed to it, and we agreed and everything.
So you sat down with a mediator, and yeah. let me be clear. In family court, the first option that they give you is to go see a mediator first, yeah, before they even hear have a hearing. They yeah. want you to see the mediator first. And if the mediator can work it out, then you simply come before the judge, and exactly. then the judge accepts what you guys worked out with the mediator. In my case, my ex was uncooperative. She never even came to mediation, never even, she ignored the demands of the court to come to mediation, never went to mediation for us to even talk about an arrangement as far as visitation. So that is why I said there are some good sides to family court. A, yeah. Garrick was the petitioner. B, he was able to go to the mediator, see the mediator, sit down with his wife, and tell us what happened when you sat down with the mediator.
No, when we sat down, she loved it. So she was like, oh my goodness, we got to get this Saturday thing worked out, because Sunday morning breakfasts are very important for families, and I like that. So she loved it. She said she granted me exactly what I wanted. It just had to be in writing, because like I said, my ex thought the burden was going to be on her for Saturdays, but we put it in writing. One Saturday, I'll get them. The next Saturday, she'll drop them off. Then I'll come. And that's how we worked it out. And then Wednesdays, we worked it out. You know, everything has to be precise. I come get them from school. I take them to dinner. And my ex, they go to school by her job. So I'll take them to dinner, and then we'll meet back at the school, or I'll drop them off at her workplace. And then, and that's how it's done.
Was she resisting at any time?
No, the only time I saw any resistance was when she thought that the burden was going to be on her to drop the kids off to me. But other than that, no. Other than that, no.
So you actually had a good side. There are some women who actually want the father to be active in their children's lives. And in your case, you actually had a Black woman that was not vindictive, that said, okay, he's a father that loves his children, even though we couldn't work this out, even though we couldn't be together, he still wants to be in his children's life. And she still wanted you to be in their lives.
Yes. One thing about us, Evan, it's always been an unspoken rule that we put the kids first. And, you know, and maybe because, like I said, we've known each other since we were 17 and 19 years old. So we basically grew up together, EL, like even in college and all that stuff. So she's still a friend to me as I'm a friend to her. So it was an understanding that she knew that I wanted to. I honestly, Evan, I don't think I think she was surprised how good of a father that I am. Because like by being on the road and stuff and everything, she thought that I wouldn't put my kids first. And it came to a situation where I don't even go on the road as much, bro, because especially with the COVID and all that stuff, because I almost like, I'd rather drop my girls off on Mondays. I was on the road for a long time, Evan. I know how it is. Right. You know, so it was like I would rather pour into my daughters, and I don't think that she thought that I was capable of that. Like I said, sometimes they make you the villain, right? You know, and it's not just women; it could be us as men because it's easier to cope that way, to vilify somebody else. You know what I mean? So I think she was actually surprised of me wanting to spend more time. Of even look the soccer game with my daughter when she play soccer. You know, like I said, Evan, Saturday is my busiest day, bro.
Right, but cutting heads and doing your business, and then at night, that's the comedy club action.
Right. But you know, when we were going through our separation, divorce, and don't forget, Evan, I'm trying to save money. So like my daughter, her soccer games were early, like 9 or 10 o'clock. So Evan, I was at every soccer game. So I just adjusted my schedule. You know, hey guys, I'll be in the shop around 12 or 1 o'clock. I'll stay a little bit later if I have to. And this was before we implemented the Saturday and Sunday thing. But my point is, I think that she was surprised that I would be at every game. And then, Evan, I wasn't just at the game. I'm the dad bringing Capri Suns. I'm bringing Capri Suns. You know, like I'm you know, they say soccer mom. I'm soccer dad.
The soccer dad and the Capri Sun dad.
Yeah. I'm bringing Capri.
That's a beautiful thing, and that meant you lost clients, morning clients, because you cut your whole morning off. That's a lot of heads, a lot of money.
Yeah. But thank goodness I have loyal clients like you, where some might say no, but most were okay, G, because you know, as men, Evan, we understand when a dude is trying to be a good dad, you're not gonna say, damn, G, you can't come ahead and be with your daughters. You know, those dudes will say, all right, man, I'll come a little bit later then. Okay. You know, because we kind of understand that. I did have clients that were willing to move, but some who might not have had children weren't as understanding. Yeah. And they might have switched up.
Yes. You know, and so you what did the mediator end up setting in stone as far as visitation? Did you get 50-50 custody?
No,
explain to us what the mediator said.
No, it was what I wanted. So it was those Saturdays and Sundays and the Wednesdays. So everything that I wanted, the mediator gave me. Okay. You know, because she was on my side. I'll give her that.
And your ex-wife agreed to it with the mediator.
Yes, she did.
Let's be clear that even though the mediator suggests something, the mediator does not have authority in family court. All they can do is present it to the judge. Who has the authority are the two parties that are coming to family court in opposition with one another, and the judge ultimately has the authority, especially if you can't work it out. So you two worked it out in mediation and presented it to the judge, and it got set in stone by the judge. Then child support comes in. So how did child support come in? Did she file child support against you at that time?
No, she didn't. It came afterwards. It came afterwards.
Okay, so explain to us.
Okay,
You're a good father. You're active. You're obviously there in your children's lives. You're taking care of them, the whole nine. So I know you're giving her money for that time. Am I right?
Yes. Oh yeah, Evan. I was paying a certain amount, and I paid every Friday.
Okay, you decided that.
Yes, I never missed the payment.
You and her decided that together, what you would pay every Friday. The court wasn't involved.
Yeah, the court wasn't involved. The court was not involved. It was I paid it every Friday. I was at that Bank of America. I never missed the payment. If I couldn't go in the morning, I would call it. Hey, Nisha, I'm going to put it in this afternoon. So I never missed the payment. I was always paid.
Something you guys agreed on.
Something that we agreed on. And then
how did child support get involved if you already had a good agreement?
So then out of the blue, never told me anything. I get served child support papers. Now,
wow. They came in the mail?
Came in the mail. And I was surprised, like, hey man, if you wanted more, you could have told me. But now, I'll get into the numbers now. She wanted $1,100 a month for two girls, and at that time they were 3 and 5. Mm-hmm. She wanted $1,100 a month for my daughters, and I was having a hard time paying that, Evan. I was saving up, and I was having a hard time paying it. I would highly recommend any guy going through child support court, you get yourself a lawyer.
Okay, why is that?
Because the lawyer can do things. Now, I'm a barber, so my income, I don't have to say exactly what I make.
You're an entrepreneur.
I'm an entrepreneur.
So the income varies. It varies. It might be great work this week and then none next week. Unpredictable income in the barber business.
Unpredictable income, and at that time I wasn't really going on the road because I was still, saving money. Because what I found is that I was making more money. See, a lot of people don't know. I was making more money in the barbershop than on the road. Okay. So I kind of had to put that to a halt. So we went to court, and I had a lawyer, and my lawyer and I, before we actually went to the actual court date, he sat me in his office the night before, and he said, Garrick, what are you willing to pay? And I told him the amount that I was willing to pay. He said, honestly, I got you probably paying, based on the income that we have on record for you, I got you paying about $400 a month.
Okay.
And I said, well, I'll pay more than that. He said,
okay. At the time, you were already paying more than $400 a month.
I was already paying more than $400 a month. Yes.
That was on your own, that you decided you would give her every week.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So once she took it to court, to family court, the lawyer, based on the Dissel Master, which is what child support court operates on. They operate on something called a Dissel Master, where they look at your income and they say, Mr. Dixon, it shows here that this is what you made according to your income this year. So based on your income, this is what you should be paying. Yes. As opposed to what you think you should be paying. And so that amount was less than what you were actually paying.
Oh man, so Evan, okay, so I can tell you've been through this because like I said, men, you have to get, when you go to child support court, you got a lawyer up. I don't care if you don't have the funds to pay the lawyer, you can work something out with the lawyer where you can pay him on the back end, or you do payments, whatever. Because Evan, she underestimated me when we went to court. I had my lawyer. She said, "Oh, you have a lawyer," and she has a law degree herself.
Oh, wow.
You know, but she wasn't a practicing lawyer. Like, she was more so in human resources, and she was doing mediation as well. So when she saw my lawyer, and it's not all glamorous how they do in the movies, Evan. You know, the guy on this side, the judge, hey, and people jump up in the courtroom, yeah. It's nothing like that, Evan. You go in the back room. It was her, myself, and my lawyer. He goes to the computer, as you explained, with the D word. I forgot whatever it was. Disso master. He puts the numbers in, and so he looked at me, and I'm sitting beside him, Evan. And so let me reenact this. So he looked at me. You know, she's standing over here behind, and he looked and he put the numbers in, and he looked at me and said, well, he's looking at me in my eyes and said, well, Garrick, according to the documents, it looks like, ma'am, you have to pay him $1,083 in spousal support because they base her income versus my income.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, ma'am, it looks like you have to pay him $1,083 in spousal support, and as far as child support, 2 kids for 2 daughters. Mm-hmm. He said you have to pay $273.
Wow.
Yeah, $273. And now he looked at me.
At the time, you were paying her way more than that.
I was paying her more than that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he looked, and then she said, hold on, no, that can't be right. You know, he has a college degree and he refuses to use his degree. And my lawyer, he said, well, ma'am, he has a job. You can't dictate how he works. You know, he's working. And she was like, no, that's not acceptable. I'll go back to Maryland. I'll take the girls back to Maryland. He said, well, miss, it's not that easy to do that. Then he looked at me, he said, well, Mr. Dixon, what are you willing to pay? And I told him the amount that I was willing to pay, which it wasn't that, you know, I wasn't going to do the $273, Evan, because
although you could have legally,
I could have.
You could have said, I'm paying what they're requiring me to pay legally.
Right. I could have said that and then gave her the money on the back end.
Yes.
You know, I could and then just flipped it to her. But I said, and one thing that he told me, he said, okay, you can pay the amount that I said I was going to pay. But he said, but the courts can never make you pay that. They can't make you pay above what they required.
Above what they calculated through the
above what they right. So if I told her, hey, I'm on hard times, I can't pay, I can only pay you this $273, she couldn't argue with that because that's what the court said. You know, so I actually went up $100 or $2 from what I was giving her. I went up like $200, and it's in writing. It was on there. I'm going to pay X amount a month. Now, she still wasn't satisfied with that, Evan Lionel. I said, I don't need the spousal support. Like, I'm not taking.
Let me interject. Yeah. She wasn't satisfied, and she was making obviously way more than you were making, 6 figures or more, and she's still coming at you for more money. What was that about?
Well, sometimes it was different. Because you might make a high income, the way you manage your money might not be the best way. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So it was situations, newly divorced, the kids, it does take a lot to raise kids. So sometimes, you know, she might have needed to borrow money and stuff, and she's trying to make her way, you know, but like I said, we've known each other a long time. There was no way in hell I'm going to make her pay me that $1,000 something a month, and I'm only going to give her the $200 because if she's struggling, my daughters are struggling.
Absolutely.
You know, and Evan, I got a hard time. Like, I called my brother afterwards. He said, damn, G. He said, wow. He said, only thing I would have done, he said, I wish you would have said, agreed to the low amount and then just paid her the money, you know.
On the back end. Or paid, because And he's correct. And here's why he's correct, G. Because even though you decided, okay, I'm not gonna pay the 273, I'm gonna pay above and beyond what I was even already paying you. That's a gesture of a good father and the good man I know you to be. You've always been a good human being from the moment I've always known that. But had you done it like your brother, and how I think that you would have done it, it would have been better for you because you're gonna spend even more money anyway because they're your daughters, and every time you get them, you're taking them out, spending money on them. You're doing everything you can to actually just be a good father. You're not thinking about the court. You're not thinking about anything else. You're thinking about being a good father.
Right.
So,
go ahead. No, so but Evan, I work in the barbershop, but I go back to the barbershop and I tell them, they like, what the hell is wrong with you? You won. You were a winner. You won for every man out there. Why would you agree to pay more? Why wouldn't you get spousal support from her? What the hell is wrong? They were mad at me. Come on, man. But it was a few dudes in there that were like, bro, I understand. Yeah, I understand because don't forget, Evan, here's a woman, like I said, I've known since she was 17 years old. And I was 19. Had I agreed to those circumstances, even though, like when we went back, Evan, and she was upset, when the clerk and in front of the judge, because I had to sit on the side, and I heard her say to the clerk, well, I'm going to move to Maryland. And the clerk was like, it's not that easy, ma'am. Right. Now, but Evan, had I agreed to that, that woman would have found a way to move back to Maryland. She had a nice job. Because I talked to 4 different lawyers. Okay. A Black lawyer, a white lawyer, a Hispanic lawyer, and an Armenian lawyer. Jeff Garcia actually gave me his lawyer. I talked to 4 different lawyers of 4 different races. And they all told me, they said, Garrick, if she wants to move back to Maryland and she has a job and proof that her job with insurance, health insurance for the kids, and a high income, it's nothing that you can do about it. She can move back to Maryland.
Wow.
You
were smart and you said that, okay, I'm going to do what I can to appease her so that she doesn't in any way, whether it be vindictive or whether it be based on an opportunity, she doesn't take my kids out of the state.
Right. And her sister, her sister and mother, they would have cheered her on and helped her out. So I would have went from, Evan, I already went from seeing my daughters every day to 2 times a week, 2 or 3 times a week. If I would have agreed to that, Evan, I probably would have seen my daughters twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. You know what I'm saying? Flying back to Maryland, because at the beginning you can say that, hey, I'll fly back every month, but it ain't that easy. So
and that becomes expensive. I actually have an analyst on. She's been in and out during the show. I don't know that you've seen her. Is Lala Justice from Chidenity anywhere in the back room? Oh, she is. She is such a mystery to me. This is one of my favorite people in this game of family court that we have to all deal with. And I'm excited that she's here with us with her gorgeous self, but she's not just gorgeous, she's highly intelligent and a graduate of law school. So I'm glad she's here. Welcome to the forum, Miss Lala Justice, the founder of Chidenity. Lala, we're talking about child support and how it is calculated. Can you elaborate on that from a technical perspective?
I can elaborate on it from experience, and then also clients that I've also dealt with. They do use a formula depending on the state, and they do take into consideration parents, especially the one parent that brings in the most income versus the parent that doesn't bring in the most income. Which parent is carrying insurance, which parent isn't carrying insurance. And then they base it off of a formula and give a set amount. And most parents don't know which areas to challenge the child support in that regard. But it is a separate entity within itself. We probably could do a whole different separate segment on where those funds really go and how they're actually broken down and how the federal government's involved with these collection agencies as it relates to child support. It's a very sensitive topic, and I know a lot of advocates that actually fight in the child support arena to eliminate child support, just because it's not really allocated the way that it states in family court. So
it is not. Break down a little bit of that.
Oh, that's a separate
segment.
segment.
You got to break down a little bit of how it's allocated. Help us understand.
That's a whole separate segment, and we are in the process of releasing new material, so I have to keep that under wraps for now. But what I will tell you is that, after evaluating constitutional laws and federal laws, there are underlying laws that don't quite coincide with state laws as it relates to child support. So, like I said, that's a separate segment.
Okay. So basically, child support is not what we actually think it is. Now, here's what I noticed. I have a friend she was married to a foreigner, and the foreigner actually left the country and came back into the country and was arrested because they were $70,000 in the arrears for child support. So they arrested them at the airport and took them into custody. And then they said to the guy, you need to at least give us, meaning the state, 30,000 of the 70 that's due if you want to get out of jail. You need to at least become 30,000 current. And so he, thinking that the money would go to his ex-wife, talked to his parents. They paid the 30,000, but his ex-wife received a check for like 8,000, and the government kept the rest. And so she was like, I should have talked to him and he should have given the 30,000 directly to me as opposed to giving it to the state. And I said, well, why didn't you? Why did you go to the state to get money from a man you were married to when you could have talked to that man and negotiated something, whether it be 30,000 or 20,000, because now you're sitting here with 8,000. So every time you go to the state, it's not going to work in your benefit. And so I'm excited to hear when Lala does break down where this money goes. Because how does she get 8 if that man gave 30,000 to the state to get out of jail? How did 8,000 come to her? This is what she explained. She said, well, I was on the county and I was on the county for like 6 months and they didn't even give me that much money at all. But they took way more than they gave me when I was on the county. They took that. That's what she believes is the case. Can you elaborate on that a little bit, Lala?
I think it's important for both sides, the receiving side as well as the person that's paying, is to make sure that they ask the collection agency, whether it's through the Attorney General or whatever State Department unit that they're utilizing where the payments are going to ask for an account balance breakdown. 9 times out of 10, they'll only send you like the last 2 payments that you made. They will not send you an actual itemized statement, but you need to ask for an itemized statement since the date that they were actually collecting payments, and then verify that with the other side and see what they got.
Wow. Wow. So G, in your case, you actually got you decided, I'm not going to pay what the Diesel Master has calculated. I'm going to pay above and beyond. And yes. I want to at least make her happy. Was she happy with the amount? Did you two agree on the amount?
Yeah, she was, I mean, at first, hell no. She, like when I got to our babysitters that day, like as soon as I got to the babysitter, she was like, I heard you won in court today. And I was like, huh? And she was like, yeah, she called her pissed off and everything. So she didn't like the amount at first. And like I said, I went above what I was paying her, but she had no choice but to agree to it. And so after a while, I mean, it was what it was.
Mm. And so,
yeah.
your children are how old now?
13 and 11. Matter of fact, they're upstairs. Yeah, 13 and 11.
13 and 11, and you guys are fine now. What's your relationship like with your ex now?
And see, this is why, Evan, if I would have been an a-hole, and like I said, wanted that money, my relationship with my ex right now is good. I haven't since March, right? Last year. Since March last year, I haven't paid child support. And because my child support goes directly to her, I don't pay into the state. I give her a check. And she was like, once the pandemic started and my daughter, she's remarried, my ex is remarried, her husband and I get along well. You know, as a matter of fact, I cut his hair sometimes. Like, we get along. She makes jokes like, y'all cool with each other. I got this life insurance policy. I want to make sure that y'all don't try to kill me and split the money yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like she joked like that. Like, he and I get along because I realize it takes a village to raise kids. And I'm secure with myself that, you know, he spends more time with my daughters. That's a fact. But I'm secure with myself as a dad. And ain't nothing like that blood that runs through those veins. Ain't nothing like that. So I'm secure enough with myself that he and I are cool. And I got to be cool with him too, to make sure that this dude is up to par. Because if they stop liking him, then it could be an issue. Go ahead, Evan, you about to say something?
Yes, and in actuality, G, it is a good thing that you and him are cool, and that's the way it should be. That's what I was talking to Lala about. All parents should be cool. They would have four parents instead of two if both parties got remarried, and it takes a village to raise the kids. Why can't we get along and do what is actually in the best interests of the children?
Go ahead. No, I was going to say this, Evan. I think one thing, and he and I talked about this, we actually did a show because I was talking to one of my clients, and he's pitching a show to Netflix, and he interviewed us. But I often think, Evan, too, we met in our 40s. We were at the age where we were mature. Had we been in our 20s, it might be a different situation because manhood, I'm this and I'm that and all that stuff. I was secure with myself. When I first met him, I told him, I said, hey, bro, I'm gonna let you know, I'm not gonna get in y'all business. I'm not that dude. What y'all do is what y'all do. Only thing I ask you, respect my daughters, respect her when you're around my kids. If they get out of line, let me know. And we good to go. You don't have to worry. I'm not that dude. I'm not prying to y'all, relationship. We good. And him having a daughter himself, his daughter's 15 now, but at that time she was younger. He can understand as well. So he and I, it was even to a point, I remember when I went to their church to go visit, my daughters were singing, not knowing that his daughter was getting baptized, right? So, she got baptized after the service. So I'm sitting back, they all go up there for the baptism. And he look at me, he say, come on, G, come on up. And he used my own words against me. He said, hey man, it take a village to raise a child. And I was like, man, I said, he using my own words.
That is beautiful. And
go ahead.
No, I wanted to ask Lala concerning the fact that he says he doesn't have to pay the state directly. He pays her. Is that something that anyone can work out?
I think it depends on what's in their order and what's agreed to in the order. I have heard of some fathers that pay directly to the spouse, the ex-spouse. Sometimes if they're military or if they are retired or Social Security, if they're any type of disability, where those funds go directly to the mother. So it just depends on what is agreed to in the actual order.
So how do they end up taking money out of people's checks? Like, you'll get your check, thinking your check getting ready to be X, Y, and Z, and then you'll see half your check gone to your surprise. They will say, this up. How does that happen?
I don't think that people understand what they ignite, or I would say what they're up against when they file even something as simple as a petition. For example, Mr. Dixon was stating that, he petitioned the court to demand more time, right? Once you strike that match, it starts going. It doesn't just go away. It's different if you have a mediated settlement agreement with a mediator that is filed and a parenting plan. There's no point in having a hearing over something that a judge already sees that's agreed to between two parents. So when that doesn't happen and you start, I want this much time, or they're going here on this much time, and that conflict starts coming in, then it's like, okay, well, now we have to settle in child support. When you could take a parenting agreement, you can open up a payment plan through the SDU unit if you decided to do it that way. Or you could have just agreed upon, a payment arrangement between both of you. Without that, then the SD unit is going to get involved. And then that's how the Attorney General gets it, and it kind of spirals out of control. And now you have a convenient agency collecting funds on your behalf. They're taking the money from him and they're giving it to her. And then they're charging a fee for those services. The end.
And what happens as far as how does it work where they are arresting people based on child support?
Once you get into their arrears really bad and you haven't tried to modify for child support, and you haven't contacted any state agency to work anything out, then yes, they will start doing things like garnishing your checks. After they garnish your checks, then it's like, okay, we're going to start levying your bank accounts. After they do that, okay, now we're going to revoke your passport. After they do that, they're like, okay, so you're just not doing anything, so we're going to send out a warrant for your arrest. But the other parent gets notification of all these collection activities. They're not in the dark about it at all during that process.
The worst thing that I hear about it is what you mentioned, the passport and taking a man's driver's license. And here's what's even worse than that. And I know in the state of Georgia, there are some men in jail and they put them in jail and they say, you can't get out until this child support is paid. Well, how are they going to pay it if they in jail? They don't have a job. What kind of sense does that make? How do they expect to get the money if you locked up the person? They can't work or talk to people to borrow the money. What's the idea of that, Lala, within the law? What are they thinking?
Well, I can't necessarily, I will not comment specifically as it relates on the law, but based on research. And so what I will tell you is that they are looking at, from a standpoint, it took this much to get your attention, to provoke you to get a job. So maybe since you're not doing anything, you have no intentions on doing anything. And it's different if they're actually seeing the kids. If they're not seeing the kids, the judge is kind of less inclined, to give them a chance. If they're seeing the kids and they have like picking up for soccer practice and so forth, and they're engaged, then the judge is going to be like, okay, look, you kind of need to work this out. But it's also in the hands of the other parent too, because the other parent can say, you know what, I agree to this modification. I agreed to the reduction of payments. But if there's no agreement, then that train keeps going. They're going to keep collecting and they will throw them in jail.
Wow. How do we get the government out of our personal business, Lala?
Mr. Dixon said something very important in his initial statement, and he said that they had to adjust. And I think when we as parents get married, we don't think about divorce. We don't think about the adjustment that the kids are going to have to make. We don't think about the adjustments of where we're going to live and what's going to happen. We don't know. But because of the conflict, we're not always looking at it from the child's perspective. We're looking at how to resolve the conflict. So in order to keep it out of the system, the fact that Mr. Dixon said that him and his ex-wife, they actually got along, that's great. The only difference is when he went to the court and he petitioned them to demand more time. So that gives the court more buy-in, more control to start manipulating things. And from a woman's perspective, I could see why your ex-wife was like, wait a second, I've got to pay him this money, because quite possibly from a woman's perspective, she's like, I'm going to have the kids. He's only going to have them 3 days. I've got to pay him. They're going to be eating me out of house and home. What am I going to do? Instead of the mediator or somebody coming to like an agreement that says, okay, well, I'll tell you what, you're supposed to pay him $1,000. So we're going to make an adjustment of how much he's supposed to pay. You'll get the difference on that. And then solving that issue instead of taking up more time in court and making all those different adjustments. And then her saying, okay, well, you know what, I'll just move. I'll just bounce. Which in that moment, I could understand why she's saying that, because she's like, if I'm going to have to pay him and then I'm not going to have the extra help, and then he's only around for 3 days and he's got his schedule and he's trying to adjust and we're trying to adjust and we're just trying to work it out. And so I just need to go back to where I can get some additional help. So while she wasn't vindictive, it's good that you guys both did have an open, relationship to where you guys could actually discuss these things. But it's something about that match once you get into that courthouse that ignites everything.
Wow. So, G, how did your situation end up today? You guys are one big happy family?
Yeah, one big happy family. Like I say, EL, she with the child sports ever since last March, she was like, Garrett, your child support mainly takes care of the girls after school program. They aren't in school anymore. So don't worry about child support. You know, and I just recently moved. You've been over to my new place. She loves my new place. And she's like, Garrick, we can talk about the child support because I really, and I'm glad she got remarried too, because that helps. But she was like, really, Garrick, because I do for my daughters, she was like, really, I don't really need anything. You can just pay when the girls go back to school, the after school program. But one thing, like I said, we've known each other for a long time. So we do have that friendship side where she's like, he's not a knucklehead. He leveled up. He got a new place and all this stuff. So he ain't just out there, you know, hitting the streets and clubbing. If I can help him in his situation of leveling up, because the way he levels up, that means my daughters are leveling up too. That's how we can handle it. So, I mean, that's where we are right now. I haven't paid child support in over a year. And honestly, EL, that helped me. The money that I was paying, I've been saving and I was able to move. And you gave me kind words. Go ahead.
Yes, yes, definitely. The question is, and we have to make sure of this, the fact that you haven't paid, does that, Lala, would that affect the court and their authority over this, the child support court? Are they calculating what's happening?
Go ahead. Let me be quiet.
Right
So
now,
I'm asking.
right, right now, most of the courts, because of the pandemic, they are making adjustments and working with a lot of parents regarding child support. Their enforcement actions have slowed down a bit. However, they're still cautioning parents to still make their payments when they can make them, but they are allowing more extended time. But they're also telling parents too, hey, if you can get with the other parent and work something out, please do that, because our offices are closed. Our offices are not even fully functional yet because of the pandemic. So they are encouraging parents to work together, work out some type of payment arrangement, or even waive some of the cost and interest, because without that, when they do resume fully, they're going to be, you know, going back into it. But they did halt a lot of the enforcement actions because of the pandemic, and a lot of people are unemployed. So you're going to throw them in jail, then there's not enough room in the jail, and then they don't even have a job, and then they're trying to get unemployment.
This is great.
Right. Evan, real quick, another thing, all my checks, they go directly to her. So I don't, the state isn't even involved. Only way the state would get involved if she showed that I wasn't paying anything, and she went back and said, yo, he hasn't given me anything. But all my checks go right to her. I've never made a check to the state. It will be up to her to go to the state and say, this isn't happening. So they don't really know what's going on now. But
let me say this on behalf of your ex-wife. Tell her she is a wonderful woman, and tell her she is a fine example of what it looks like to put your kids first above your emotions and above your own desires, and saying we were a family once and we are still a family, and let's do what's best for our children. Tell her I commend her personally, and I hope the viewers and those who pay attention, this woman is a fine example of what it really takes to raise kids in a healthy mindset and in a healthy environment. That is excellent. With that said, time has come to an end, has run out so quickly. It's like we've been on here for 5 minutes and we didn't get a chance to truly enjoy this wonderful story of an actual father who comes out of child support court and family court on top and happy and not, you know, disgruntled and saying this is some BS and I'm done with this and all of that. So there are some winners that actually good things happen to, and they do things the right way. And the first thing he did, Lala, was he was the petitioner. And that's what helped his situation tremendously. With that said, I'd like to go to Lala. Lala, tell them what you have coming up, what they can look for, and how they can contact you.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you very much. So many of you are aware that this is Parental Alienation Awareness Month, and the day is marked for April 25th, where a lot of parents from around the world We'll be protesting, peacefully protesting, having a lot of different virtual events regarding parental alienation awareness, and keeping the conflict, centered between both of the parents, hopefully finding positive resolutions for that. And I will be providing additional information. We have a lot of great speakers, judges, and as well as political influencers that will be on, and doctors as well, about the impacts of what parental alienation does to our children long-term if not treated. You guys can reach me at chidenity.org. I'm also on Instagram at chidenity, as well as YouTube. Our Chidenity, our campaign of I Speak Out, is ongoing. Thanks, Evan.
Yes. Thank you, Lala, for always being here as an analyst and always giving your great opinion on these situations that occur. Garrick Dixon, my brother G, tell them how they can reach you as far as for comedy, as well as if they're looking for a new image or just to get their haircut or whatever the case may be.
Okay, well, my name is on there, Garrick Dixon. You can follow me, the Garrick Dixon, on Instagram. You can also go to my YouTube page if you want to see some funny videos, guaranteed to make you laugh. Go on there. Also, as a man or any women that's looking to get men's hair grooming products for their man, you can find me at Dixon's, like my name, DIXONS, 1737.com. Once again, Dixon1737.com. I have leave-in conditioner, beard butter, beard oil, facial soap. I can take care of all your needs, and the stuff smells good. Evan uses it, and people love it. And thank you, Evan, for having me on your platform.
Thank you, Brother Garrick, for being here. Thank you, Lala, for being here. My name is Evan Lionel. You can reach me at Evan Lionel 2898 on IG or Facebook, Evan Lionel, or write directly to the M.E.R page. Join us on YouTube, Men's Equal Rights. Please like and subscribe. We are here to inform the public of things that are happening to families and family court, but we are here to uplift you and here to help you in every way when it comes to bringing families together and children together. Thank you for joining us this week on M.E.R, Men's Equal Rights. We will see you next Sunday.